along to the look ahead, NUFC 360's look at Newcastle United's latest fixtures or upcoming fixtures and all the bits in between. I am Stuart. I'm joined today by a bumper crop of guests. We have Matt, Max, producer Mark, and regular Mark. I will just call you Mark, don't worry, from now on in. I think we're kind of annexing your show tonight, Mark. I don't know, or at least it's a bit of a different lineup for tonight, but very special week as it's been with the League Cup semi-final victory, or half victory, maybe is that how I would call it, and look ahead to the second leg on Tuesday. So we'll get everyone along and have a really good chat, especially since it might be the last time we're able to put something out before transfer deadline day. So lots to talk about. If you are watching along, of course, please get your comments in and we will make you part of the show as we always do. Thanks again for those watching now or after the fact. Don't forget to smash that like button or subscribe and help us grow. So we will jump straight in to proceedings tonight. Gentlemen, a really good question mark game on Tuesday against Southampton. A hard-fought victory away from home, always a good thing. I just want to get your general thoughts on the game, how it panned out, and we're going to start with Mark. I'll start with you.
I thought we should have won it by a lot more, to be honest with you. Thought we were absolutely dominant. Joe Willock could have had a hat-trick. Joe Linton could have had a hat-trick. Definitely should have had two. Wasn't a handball for me. And it was just yet another case of Newcastle United can't finish their dinner in front of goal. It was just ridiculous. Not just the fact that we were missing and not hitting the target. It's like you could add a few targets on above the goal and you still would have cleared them as well. Some of them. It's just like, Christ almighty. But I think I would have taken 1-0 before the game, a 1-0 win, and I would presume all of you would as well. So can't grumble too much. It would take a monumental effort from Southampton, I think, to overturn it at St James's Park. They're capable of doing it. You know, look at what they did against City, but I think the betting money would be on Newcastle going through, fingers crossed.
So one of the things that's going to inevitably be brought up, and we'll bring it up now because it's definitely relevant, because it definitely changed the game, was the introduction of Isak and ASM, and particularly Isak because he got the assist. I think a big discussion on social media this week has been, does Alexander Isak now start? So instead of me asking you, I'm going to do it slightly differently tonight, should he start, shouldn't they? Because I'm going to get 4 or 5 different responses. What I want to get is a bit of a wee show of hands. I'm going to give you 3 choices, okay, sort of for the next couple of games. And it's start Isak, drop no Wilson, start Wilson, no Isak, or both, okay? So you get to tell me now and what you think. So, for example, Matt, would you start Isak, Wilson, or both?
I'll start Isak.
I shouldn't even need to ask you, Max, but I'm going to ask you anyway.
Yeah, I just start Isak, of course.
Okay. Producer Mark?
Start Isak because I just think Wilson is struggling. I think whether or not he's not fully recovered from that illness that he's had, and that I just think maybe giving him that rest. Yeah, because when he's been fit, he's been relied upon. We don't need that now. We can rest him. So I just think rest Wilson, bring Isak in. He's young. He's energetic. He gets all over the place. He can ride tackles really well. That's the other thing which I like about him, and I just think he adds something different to us, and I think it makes us look more mobile up front, whereas we're maybe not necessarily that with Wilson.
Yeah. Mark, what about you?
I'm really tempted to say start both.
Yeah.
But actually, I think I'd probably just start Isak purely because of what Mark said.
Yeah.
Wilson's not quite looking himself, and I don't think that's even necessarily down to form. I think, sounds like it was COVID is what he had for the illness, and he's just not been the same since. So on that basis, probably start Isak, but it is really tempting to say start both.
Max, what, Mark alluded to it there, obviously, with COVID and Wilson. You obviously are a massive fan of Isak. You were before, one of your countrymen. If he hits the ground running, starts scoring consistently,
he already has.
Well, exactly. But does it, on a longer basis, can Wilson ever get back into the team? It seems insane to be even saying things about it was our main, one of our main goal threats. Do you think he can ever make it back into the team, Max, if Isak continues as he seems to be doing?
Yeah, of course. I just think it's the way we set up our attacks and do our attacks. It doesn't benefit Wilson as much as maybe it does Isak, because it seems to be like all our crosses and balls into the box seems to end up at our midfielders' feet. Like we see Longstaff, Willock, Joey Linton has 3 shots a game maybe, whilst Wilson he created like 3 or 4 for himself against Fulham, but
Yeah.
otherwise he doesn't get those kind of easy opportunities like the tap-ins or so. Whilst Isak is a more creative kind of striker, he can create opportunity for himself, and he also can, like we saw against Southampton, he can create the goal-scoring opportunity for his teammates. And I don't think Wilson have that sort of capability in him. Yes, of course, he did assist Isak to the Fulham goal, which was brilliant of him. That's why I like the link-up play they had, because they complement each other really well. But of course, yeah, I could see him go back. But I think if Isak really gets going, it's hard for me to see him going back into the starting lineup anytime soon.
Matt, would you want to see ASM come back into the lineup?
Yeah, I think I would. I think he's done his time now and waiting to come into the team. And I think we've been struggling for goals. A bit of refreshing up top. I think Isak obviously needs to start, and I think I'd probably put Joe Linton back into the centre and drop one of the midfielders, and I'll give ASM just a run up top, just to give him 60 minutes to see how he gets on, because I just think things need a bit of a freshen up. With ASM, when he come on the other day, he looked brilliant. The Southampton defenders were terrified.
He did. He looked fantastic.
So yeah, I would like to see ASM.
He was. Eddie said this possibly.
Definitely.
Sorry, he was making the right decisions. Which he didn't used to do. You get the ball in good positions and then passing, playing players. And he played a couple of fantastic balls in that we just weren't taking. Max made the point earlier about chances falling to the wrong players. That's just so true. The past 3, 4, 5 games where you're just begging for Callum Wilson to be there, Isak to be there, or even ASM or someone to be there in that position, and not necessarily Joe Linton or not necessarily someone different. So yeah, it's interesting. I suppose I everyone is pretty much on the same page then with Wilson, in that he needs a rest. He's clearly something's hit him pretty hard, maybe COVID, maybe whatever. And he needs a bit of rest out of the team, and that hopefully will reinvigorate him. But Isak has been just fantastic. A brilliant, proposition to look forward to on Tuesday with the semi-final, second leg, 1-0 up, as Mark quite rightly says. Should have been more, could have been over, could be Man United scoreline 3-0. That wouldn't have been undeserved, quite frankly. I just want to get your feelings on the second leg. Not even necessarily score predictions, but feel free to give me them. Just generally how you're feeling about approaching it. Are you nervous? Are you confident? Producer Mark, I will start with you.
I'm gonna revert to what we did after the FA Cup match, where I was too overconfident and it ruined it. Southampton showed on Tuesday that they've got enough to cause us problems. Adam Armstrong was just a few inches from it hitting not his hand and it going in, and it had been fine and that. So it's those sort of margins. But then again, if VAR had looked at the correct angle, it would have seen that it hadn't hit Joe Linton's hand and probably should have been given. But yeah, don't expect Andre Mariner, the man who gave 7 minutes at Anfield, to look at doing anything fair for Newcastle. Like I said, it is tough. The one thing which I do think is going to be a big thing for us is it's going to be a sold out St. James's. It is a Tuesday night. It's under the lights. I'm sure that there's quite a few will have had a few pints to settle the nerves, shall we say. The scarves will be back. And I just think, given the fact that this is 90 minutes that could see Newcastle United back at Wembley, the last time we were at Wembley for a cup competition, not the Premier League with Spurs. Yeah, it was the old one.
Yeah,
So
99.
this one hadn't been built
No,
the last time we'd
was it
been there.
2000, wasn't it? The semi-final.
I think
99 final.
Yeah,
but
99 final, semi-final.
2000, was it not held at Wembley or something?
Yeah, I think it wasn't. I think it was Chelsea that were played in the semi-final.
I wasn't born, so I don't know.
Yeah, but yeah, for a final, last final is 99.
But yeah, it's just one of those ones where I'm like, yeah, let's not get too ahead of ourselves and too confident, because it can go against you. Mark will agree there. We were sat in the place where we're having a drink before the Sheffield Wednesday game. We're already looking at who we're going to be facing in the next round. We're thinking, away day to Blackpool is going to look good. Yeah, that'll be canny. And
what fools we were, Mark.
Exactly.
It's your fault then, basically, what you're saying. Your hubris.
But no, it was Chris Wood's fault. That miss got him sent to Nottingham Forest. I'm certain of it. I am positive of it.
They just said, you've got to go and fetch the ball, Chris. And while you're there, just stay over at Nottingham.
But
no, it's just down.
It's just the one thing which we've got, and I absolutely love, is we are now becoming the champions of the dark arts. Yeah, we do it, and we do it well. You know, like the Bruno laughing in that guy's face after he got sent off. Yeah, it was just and then Jacob Murphy's.
Oh dear, build the statue. It was amazing.
But when he was doing that and the pose that he was holding, I was sort of going, "Are you even bye-bye, or are you about to go into the dance for single ladies?"
I thought he was going to punch him. I genuinely thought he was going to punch him. I was like,
we just did it though. We had like that, where we were like winding people up. Like Longstaff, I think, was a tackle in the first half. He was straight over to the ref to try and get a yellow card.
Yeah.
For the one who got sent off eventually in the end.
That's right.
I just think it was those things like we know how to wind teams up. We know how to do the little things and that I love that from that. Everyone saying that Pope should have got a yellow for that challenge. Yeah, he won the header.
No, got the ball first,
and he managed to get a player. And he managed to get a player off the pitch.
Yeah, you sound confident. You said you're not confident, or you don't want to jinx it, but you do sound confident in what you're saying.
I'm confident in the fact that we're coming back up to St James's Park with a 1-goal lead. I'd have been happy with 0-0 if we'd got away from Southampton not conceding. I'd have been happy knowing that.
When was the last time we conceded a goal at St James's?
Brentford.
So they're not scoring 2 goals. They're just not going to do it.
Well, the last time we conceded more than 2 goals in a game was Liverpool in August.
Well, they had to play two games in a row to do that. So,
with the exception of the Sheffield Wednesday game, but I'm not including that because Nick Pope didn't play. It was a different back line. So I'm not really going to be sort of like judging them so much on that.
It was so surreal to hear the commentators basically saying Tuesday, "Oh yeah, they need to pick up something near Southampton because if they don't, they're absolutely snickered." Like literally saying like they're just not going to win. Like might draw if you're not going to win.
You mean the commentators that were trying to tell us so much that Joe Linton was a handball and then trying to say so much that Adam Armstrong's wasn't? Adam Armstrong's was a clear handball. The only question that I'd have is if the ref had given the goal for Joe Linton, would the referee have had enough to, because it was uncertain to not give it as a handball, would it have been certain enough to give it as a handball? That's what I'd love to see, and that's where and I know it's been talked about, but this would have been the perfect time to have been able to listen to the feed between the VAR and the ref to understand, because we're all going, well, why? But if they talked, we might actually go, do you know what? I don't agree with it, but I actually understand why they've come. You'd understand it more if you were able to hear that conversation. We're not, and that's why you're sort of like.
Yeah, I don't know. I think you're leaning towards a win there, but you don't want to say anything. Max, what about you? How do you feel about it? Were you born in 1999?
No, I'm born in 2001. So.
Oh, don't.
Jesus Christ!
Sorry, guys.
Get him off.
I'm just off to get the concessionary bus pass.
I was going to say, I'll collect me pension soon.
So anyway, before you were born was the last time that you were in a final. I'm gonna be sick. What are you feeling? Because obviously this is very surreal. I say we were born. I was 10, so I did have some 10ish. I don't know what it was, but some idea of it. But it's hard to remember. It's been my first final as an adult, as someone that recognizes things. So what about you? Are you really nervous about it? Are you confident?
I'm quite confident in our ability to defend our goal. So we have a 1-0 lead, and I think Southampton is Nathan Jones is gonna really try to motivate them, go up there, beat them, attack them, bang, 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 and then we're gonna punish them. So
that's what I was gonna say. Do you think they're gonna go at us?
Well, they have to, because they're down 1-0 before the game starts. So I mean, if they don't, we can simply just do what we're best at, and that's defending. Because we have been shit at scoring goals this last few games, so we can just focus on what we're good at.
I know. It's just fascinating to see how it'll play out. Would you? I mean, you probably wouldn't try and get over, would you, for the final? I know you wouldn't get a ticket, but we just be happy.
I'm planning to, if we get to the final, either to go to Newcastle or go to London. I don't know what's best.
But I'm not going to take it, so I may go.
If you go to Newcastle, you'll probably be the only one there.
Yeah, that's the problem. I don't know which one is best, but we're not there yet, so we're not gonna take anything for granted here. But I'm thinking about it. I need to. It's gonna be hard to explain to my bosses going on vacation and for the first time.
So we're focusing on Brighton on that weekend then.
Yeah. Matt, what about you, mate?
To be honest, I've never been this confident going into the game. Yeah, I'm that confident. Obviously, because the fact that we're just really difficult to beat, but it's at home. We're already 1-0 up. I felt like Southampton gave everything as well. In that game against us, I feel like they gave everything they had.
Yeah. I know what you mean.
Now, for them to then do that again.
Yeah, there were a lot of seats.
For them to do that again at St James's with our crowd, especially, a semi-final, knowing all we needed to do is just keep a clean sheet again. I mean, or outscore your opponents. It's never going to happen in a million years. I could literally.
I know it's definitely hubris.
I know I shouldn't be. I shouldn't be this confident because Newcastle. With Newcastle, there's always something bad lurking around the corner. But
do you know what the problem is? We've had years and years and years and years and years. I was trying to count 14 years, but I couldn't. I lost count on that. But we've had so many years of a little glimmer of hope, and then it just it goes in that. And I think because of that, you do have we've got that built-in sort of caution in there. Like you said, you should be confident. At St James's Park, where you are unbeaten this season in any competition. The last goal we conceded was I either October or early November against Brentford. I think wasn't that stat Nick Pope's kept 10 clean sheets in a row. It's you're looking at that and you're just going.
He's pulled off some brilliant saves as well, but he hasn't been consistently tested again and again and again. It's not to detract from him, but again, it's that whole back line, as people have talked about. People aren't getting the chances, and they're 1 or 2 a game at the most, and Pope's standing up.
But you look at that Palace one, the fact that he's not having to do much, and then he pulls out that save
against
Palace.
Phenomenal.
It makes it more impressive because he could be stood there having a tab for most of the game. Let's be honest, and have absolutely nothing to do. Exactly. I mean, because who looks that far back on the pitch anymore? It's what's the point?
I'm positive I've seen him in the queue at around about the 38th minute in the Gallagher food stall.
Mark, what about you? Just to round this part off, how are your feelings on the game on Tuesday?
You know what it is. I think the biggest threat to us, Southampton don't scare me. The biggest threat to us is refereeing incompetence. That's what scares me. The only way that I can see this really going badly for us is if something crazy happens and we get someone sent off early doors due to a refereeing blunder, and then it goes downhill from there. Barring that, it's really difficult to see how Southampton get out of the tie and through to the final. everything seems so heavily stacked against them.
Yeah.
But we've been here before. It feels like we've been here before, and had our hopes dashed. A bit like Mark said, and you get a glimmer of hope, and then all of a sudden it disappears. So I can't allow myself, to be honest, to feel confident. But really, I should.
Assuming, I'll stick with you, Mark, for this question. Assuming we do get through, and assuming, as seems very likely, Man United get through as well, up against them, first final, X amount of years for us. They haven't won in a little while either. Getting my little tiny violin out here and rubbing it along. They've
Yeah, bless them.
for like 6 years or 10 years, right? Whatever it is, which is obviously a tragedy. What would your feelings be on the final against Manchester United and our chances, Mark?
I think we would be slight underdogs, but only very slight. I mean, honestly, that game, assuming we don't get any injuries, any major injuries, that is a coin flip of a game. It really is.
What you could do is like an Anthony Gordon shaped, addition to that, and just make it just to set, tip it over in dust. Anyway, we'll get on to that. Don't worry.
He's going to score an own goal.
You'll be tight though.
I'll reserve my.
Oh, wait till the next question. What fun! This section. I actually completely agree with you. It's very hard to call. I'll get my 2 cents in nice and early. I think we'll win on Tuesday. I'm not saying we'll smash them, but I think we'll win. I think we'll lose the final, and that's because I'm a negative bugger, but more because I think Mark's kind of addressed it here, and it's about like even about referees. We've all kind of touched upon it. I feel as if, and it started slightly to happen in the Southampton game a wee bit, our players start to feel the pressure a wee bit, and it's going to be an occasion for us. It's our first final in decades, and this, that, and the other, and it's potentially the first trophy since 1960, blah, blah, blah. Man United win trophies. I know they haven't done in the most recent past, but they just win trophies. That's what they are. That's why they're still called an elite club, because they do win trophies. And I think that feeds through into the players. I think it will be like another Sunday to them. And for us, it will be, and I just think our players might freeze up a bit, and that's my worry there.
Would have many of Manchester United's players won trophies? Because they're both
Martinez won the World Cup. So
Casemiro won 3 Champions Leagues.
Like they have the pedigree. Some of ours do have some as well, but it's more than just the individual player. It's a club thing. I just get the feeling. And
Trippier won the league.
No, look, we have those players, but I'm saying it's more even the fans. For us, I will be absolutely bricking it when it comes to the final, because I'm like, oh my god, so pent up. I think Man United fans will be like, meh.
I think something that feeds into that narrative as well is referee bias again.
Yeah,
like you can't tell me in a final between Newcastle and Manchester United that Newcastle are going to get a fair shake. They're absolutely not.
I want Michael Oliver on that game.
But is it not a case where, and I know we've seen this, but the EFL might be minded to try and appoint a referee that doesn't like Manchester United, because you imagine the story of Newcastle United winning their first trophy in so many years. Yeah, as a story, that would make a much bigger story and stuff like that, and history and all, like the news around the world. Then Manchester United won a trophy after 6 years from here.
I would like to think on that note that whoever's covering it, Sky, whatever, that there would be because there's always a slight bias with commentators. There's a lot of Martin Tyler stuff about how he hates Liverpool and things like that. But like I would like to think there would be a slight bias towards us, just slightly, in that we haven't won so long, and clearly Man United are going to be favourites, if not slight favourites, as Mark said.
So what you're saying is you want Jamie Carragher on the commentary rather than Gary Neville?
Even really is he really? I don't know if there's any one person. What's her name? There's a girl that's BT, blonde girl. I can't remember her name. Lindsay Hipgrave. She's well,
she is a Geordie, yeah.
I hate to break it to you, but it won't be.
No, put her on.
Saying that though, for quite a lot of the games that we've had on Sky, Shea Given's been on.
Yes, because he was going at he was unbelievably biased actually at halftime in the game about
the Leicester.
It wasn't handball, load of nonsense. It wasn't handball, straight like categorical. I love Shea Given.
I absolutely love him now. The fact is, we know fine well he'll be there on Tuesday. And to be honest, he'll probably have his name down if we get there going, yeah, I'll do the final. Yeah, no, yeah. Just book us in now.
I do it for a ticket. I do it.
But it is
Max,
that. Hopefully
sorry,
Keith's down there as well.
Oh,
and Pete.
What Max? Sorry, what would you? What obviously it's your first final, Newcastle final.
Wait, hello, we're not in the final yet, so.
I mean,
thank you.
Hypothetically,
Okay.
I'm with Max.
Hypothetically, when/if we get to the final, how do you think you'll feel about it? Do you think you'll be incredibly nervous? Will you be excited? Do you think we'll win? What do you think?
I'd be incredibly excited, but also super nervous. And actually, I wasn't even so nervous for the semi-final. Actually, I was so weird. I think it comes from us drawing so many games. I seem to feel like I hate draws. I've come to realize that I hate draws. They're not just nothing. They're nothing to me. They're a loss you can get angry over. A win you get happy. A draw is just going okay, well, all right, we go to the next one. It's especially when it's 0-0, and it's one thing when you're like 1-0 under and you score the 90th minute. That's nice. Then you get happy because you get a draw and out of nothing. But
we don't concede, so we can't draw if we score.
Yeah, but I just draws. They suck the energy out of me. I don't like them. I don't like them at all.
I'd argue that's because other teams are doing that, and we had this discussion last week, a couple of weeks ago, about how we're a team in transition. Like we are a good team, arguably a very good team, but we're not just there yet with the squad and everything. And people kind of worked us out a wee bit, and so we've got to the point where people are scared to play us, especially at home. So they'll set a low block and they'll defend, and they're very happy to come and take a 0-0 point. But we're just not there. We've managed to break them down consistently, like City can and like other teams can.
We've got a Champions League defense and a top 8 attack.
Couldn't put any better myself. Yeah,
that's very good.
So that's why they're happy, because they know they're not going to score. But
excuse me, we've got a Champions League midfield.
One or two of them. Yeah, well, maybe.
Put Madison in there, we might.
Once we sign a certain player,
no, but just with Bruno.
Matt laughing. Matt, what do you think about the final?
Yeah, I'm not really a nervous type of person unless it comes to Newcastle. I felt a bit nervous in the World Cup. Messi was playing in the final. I felt a bit nervous then. I don't know what it was. I just wanted him to win. I felt like it was my whole life. So I've never seen anybody I like in a final because I don't care about anybody else other than Newcastle. So when I saw Messi play, I thought, right, please win. And then I was feeling this weird sort of emotion. And I think, right, if I was like that for Messi, what am I going to be like when Newcastle play? I'm going to be an absolute mess. I don't even think I'll be able to make it to the ground. I'm going to be that nervous. And obviously all that doubt will start to fill in because, our track record is we've been unbelievable. We've been playing really well. Recently, I did say last week, we've been going through a bit of a rough patch. Our rough patch is still not conceding goals, but, we haven't been putting away all these chances we've been creating. And I just feel like, is that going to happen on the day? Like you say, you spoke about earlier, Man United, Newcastle United aren't, especially in most recent history. We're not used to winning trophies. How many times have we got to these big games? Yes, we've got some big players like Trippier and Bruno, but Man United have got Champions League winners, they've got league winners like Martinez. He's won the World Cup, and you speak about Varane and they've won multiple Champions Leagues and leagues. I just feel like on the big occasion, a Man United going to be able to step up. That's what it feels like, but I hope it's not the case, of course. I hope we turn up. I hope we show that the occasion won't get to us, because it could easily get to all being in these type of situations. Let's just hope they go into that game like they have all the previous games of the last 12 months, because at the minute, nothing seems to phase them.
Yeah, we didn't, and producer Mark can correct me here because you know everything. Did we have Isak playing? I think with Bruno at Old Trafford. I have a funny feeling we missed some players, but who did we not have?
I don't think we did have Isak on that one, because I think Man U is after the international break where Max's country broke him.
The cold weather.
Absolutely shocked. Yeah, we actually.
He walked into an IKEA and he never came out the same.
Yeah,
I'll tell you what.
something like that.
Yeah, he was missing a screw.
Hey,
We started that game with Jacob Murphy playing up front. Well, up front.
Wait. Legend.
What a legend! But like, you know,
that one thing is probably the best thing that he's probably done in his time.
it
in
is.
Newcastle.
Oh, it totally is.
You know, I was actually trying to see if Eddie Howe was going to get Jamal Lascelles prepared just to like run up the touchline to try to lay any throw-ins in that by Southampton.
Yeah, I'm just curious thinking about the final, like, you know, producer Mark, on that, I suppose, what's your feelings on it? Having seen many a final, I won't say how many for Max's sake.
My feeling is that we need to get Tuesday out of the way before we think about getting there, because it's on there. I was so nervous on Tuesday.
Me too.
So God knows what I'm going to be like this Tuesday. Like my stomach's probably going to be doing like twists and turns and everything. This is probably one of the biggest games we've had on Tuesday in maybe a decade. Yeah. I'm not even putting the relegation games down, because it's just, this is a chance for Newcastle United to get to Wembley, and to be fair, to be doing that in just over within 18 months of the new owners coming in, within Eddie Howe coming in, yeah, and he's still done it with the likes of Fabian Shaw, Sean Longstaff, Joe Willock, Miggy Almiron, Callum Wilson, Joe Linton, Jacob Murphy sometimes. Yeah, we've still had a lot of the players that were there when he came in, and we've done this. Like I said, the transformation he's been able to do with all those players is phenomenal. But I actually also think, do you know the trophy that we lifted in Saudi Arabia?
Yeah.
I'm hoping that's just lit a little fire under them and going,
yeah, this was nice.
This was nice. I quite like this. I want to do this again.
Yeah.
And I actually think that should be what they're reminded of, on Tuesday when they're going out there. Is, remember that trophy that you lifted in Saudi Arabia? Well, you get a positive result out with this game.
Yeah.
And the one thing I also love just going on that is the fact that Eddie Howe said no to a photo after the win, because in his mind he was going, this is half time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they didn't want to put the
for the thing, the game. Oh, very good. I didn't know that now. That's good. That's good. I think I meant the photo with a fan. I'm like, oh, that seems a bit.
No, but actually, that's another thing which I'm going to say with Eddie Howe. Well, because there's a clip, on the NUFC TV interview where he stops and went, "Excuse me," just to wave to the fans, and I'm going, yes, you just you love him even more for that. But it's one of those things where I said, I'm not even prepared to talk about any trips to London or what plans or stuff like that. I'm focused on Tuesday. As Eddie Howe says, all we focus on is the next game. Yeah. And that's all I'm going to focus on. And that's my mindset, because I said, we have the ability to trip up ourselves in that, that. But and I actually think Southampton they actually played quite decent. Yeah, since Nathan Jones has come in, he's actually got them playing some quite decent.
What impressed me about them is their energy. They've ran.
I like that. Was it Alcaraz?
Yeah, he's their shit house as well, actually, but he seemed decent. But there was a point where we had the ball. It was in our box, and we broke, and most of their team were in like our box, attacking. And then by the time we got the ball down the pitch, there was like 9 men back from them. Like they ran and ran and ran. So they definitely will give it a good go. Matt sort of alluded to, or Max have both alluded to the fact that they have to go for it, which is a bit scary, because as we've seen before with Brentford and teams like that, if you try to play through us, you get punished. So fingers crossed, and I won't dwell any longer.
That's my hope. I'd hope for an early goal, just because I think that would settle
the crowd,
any nerves down, and I think that would then get the noise really going. And another Dan Burn special.
Yeah,
an early goal, it would just turn everything into a party atmosphere straight away.
An early goal could be better than bloodbath, to be honest. If we get
What, a
an early goal.
52,000 conga around St James's?
Oh, I wouldn't rule it out.
It's very exciting. I can't wait. I was super nervous. I will still be nervous on Tuesday, like a lot of you. But it was. Yeah, unfortunately, God knows what I'll be like on the final. It won't be a wreck. Anyway, we're getting our last topic of the evening, and we've saved the most contentious topic to last. There is but 5 days or 4.5 days, depending on how you want to look at it, of the transfer window left for Newcastle United. We've so far signed 0 players. We have sold or loaned out Chris Wood with an obligation to buy. You go, Mark? Yeah.
I was going to say, could we realistically rule one of those days out, because I'm not really. Yeah, we're playing.
That's what I said. And before, I think chatting to you guys is Tuesday's not going to happen, unless they're doing stuff from the pitch, or you know what I mean. There might be, but I think it's very likely our business will be done by Monday.
Well, Anthony Gordon's doing his medical on with the warm up, right, with the crowd.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Mark tries to attack him when he's doing.
Whoa! I need applause.
Good on.
Hypothetically,
Mark.
What you just hear Mark going, "Beep off back to Everton."
If you can't tell, there's a bit of a split opinion amongst the pod or the group in general about one Anthony Gordon. Seems to be. I don't know. We discussed before the pod there, but it seems to be getting them. There are different rumors floating around. At the moment, it's still in the balance. He seems to have agreed personal terms, according to Big Fabrizio and others. That doesn't seem to be an issue. He clearly wants to come. He's missed training 3 days in a row. We'll get on to that. But
he's in the same hotel as Tranquillo Barnetta.
Thank you.
Well, two and Bas Dost living their best life.
What a trio! Well, we'll start off. Look, I want to take you to this, and I suppose I want to ask is: Do you want him? And if you do, why? And if you don't, why not? So, Mark, producer Mark, you're nodding your head. Why do you want him?
Whilst people might not agree, I do think he's Premier League proven. He's shown that he can score a goal. He can do other traits on that. He's young. We've seen what Eddie Howe can do with players. I'm not going to really judge him on his performances under Frank Lampard because, that's not really a judgment on that. But he is young. He's talented. He's probably got the hunger to do that, and the fact that he's looking and going, yeah, actually, I'd love to be part of that. Now, Eddie Howe will have also done his background checks, so I know people go, "No, he's a bit of a shithouse on the pitch." Yes, so are we.
Yeah,
we're like that. We've got that sort of thing. Yes, people might say, "Oh, well, his attitude over like not being a training, but not being funny." But the fact that he was practically being hounded out, his car was surrounded by his own fans. At one point, I'd be wanting to leave. Yeah, you'd be like, why? Yeah. There's a safety aspect in that sense. If the directors have been told not to go to Goodison, and then the players are being surrounded in cars, you can sort of understand that. I actually don't think that, because I think the rumours are, there's probably going to be a compromise of about 40 million, but I think that 40 million is probably going to be a fee plus add-ons to make it up to that amount. One of those add-ons could be we'll win the Champions League. Yeah. Might seem unrealistic, but who would have said would have been in the semi-final this season? Yeah. So there's just all those things. I just think I was going to try and use a positive and say Chelsea wanted him, but then realised that saying that Chelsea wanted him isn't really a positive because they want everyone. But no, I just think he's young, he's raw, he's talented. And we need to look at the fact that you've got players who aren't going to be. Matt Ritchie isn't getting any younger. I do think he's an upgrade on Jacob Murphy, and he will give something different because I think he can play anywhere across the front three line.
Is that where would you play him, Mark?
Do you know, it's so difficult because you're then sitting going, well, who do you drop?
Or is he a different option that you have on the bench?
I think he's a different option to come off the bench at the minute, and if he obviously performs, but you then look and you're going, well, do you stick him on the left and put Joe Linton into the midfield and have Willock on the bench as an option? Do you take Sean Longstaff off, which I personally wouldn't, just because I think the work that he does, in that sense, like I said, it's difficult. Yeah, when you've got a team that's not losing, it's very difficult to look and go, well, we'll take it. Yeah, we'll take this player out. Yeah, but by having him, it also means you've then got more options for rotation, and I think that's something that obviously you need to look to do, because what we're trying to build is a squad that is like for like in terms of players. Like you can put Maxi on, but you could also then put Gordon on. Yeah, like quality wise, that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to build up the quality of the squad, so that when we're making substitutions, we're looking at that. Like we're not just looking going, oh, we'll brought Isak and ASM off the bench. Who else can we bring off the bench? Right, we've got Jamal Lewis, Jamal Lascelles and Matt Ritchie, sitting there. Yeah, do you know what I mean? That's not. Yeah, you're not going to look confident when you're looking at those options on the bench.
Okay.
So it's about trying to overhaul the squad, but I just think I know he's dividing a lot of people, but I just think Eddie Howe will work wonders with him.
Yeah.
And I think you will see one heck of a player.
Mark, do you want him? If so, why? If not, why not?
Honestly, I'd rather shit in my hands and clap than sign Anthony Gordon.
So you're slightly negative about it.
just a little bit. I just this is the most gutted and I've been about a potential Newcastle signing since we signed Lee Bowyer. Genuinely, that's how viscerally I feel about it. I really don't want him. I wouldn't pay you a pork pie and a pasty for him. Never mind 40 million quid.
Is it because what I get from some people, or the feeling I get, is that they were so reviled by his behaviour when playing against us, which was annoying, that they just are going, no, I can't have him. Do you genuinely think he's not a very good footballer?
Yeah, I mean, there's a few reasons I don't want him, but the biggest and most important one is I don't rate him. I don't think he's very good. I'll use the phrase again because I used it in the chat that we had going on. I do genuinely think he's a poor man's Matt Ritchie. I'm not talking about Matt Ritchie today. I'm talking about Matt Ritchie maybe seven years ago or something like that. But he's a winger who's not very quick, but he's tenacious and he tries hard. But the difference is Matt Ritchie had, pretty good delivery on him, decent technical ability. I don't see any of that from Gordon. I don't see any of it at all.
Do you watch him a lot, to be fair? I mean, I don't, so I'm not going to sit here and say I know about him, but have you watched much of him?
I've caught a couple of Everton games, 90 minutes, mainly last season, in fairness, not so much this season. But every time I've watched him, I've just not been impressed at all. Mark does make an important point when he says it is a bit unfair to judge him in a very poor Everton team managed by, let's be honest, Frank Lampard, who's, again, if I don't rate Anthony Gordon, I really don't rate Frank Lampard as football manager. So there is that aspect to it. So I'm even trying to take that into account, but I just don't see it. I just absolutely don't see it. And then add on to the fact that he's an arsehole, at least in my opinion. I just really don't want him. I really, really do not want him. I do think Eddie Howe can improve him. Of course I do. But 40 million quid, even if you're saying 30 million because 10's going to be add-ons or something like that, that is even in this market, that's a lot of money to pay for a player on the hope that Eddie Howe can improve him. I mean, Eddie Howe has improved a lot of players, absolutely. I could ream off a list right now. There's no need. We know who they all are. Mm-hmm. But also, it's like, has he made Jamal Lascelles that much better than he was before? Not really. Has he made, there's a couple of players where you're just looking around and you're going like, sometimes you can't get blood from a stone. And I think Gordon's one of them. I hope I'm wrong. Drastically hope I'm wrong, but I just don't see it.
I think I don't disagree with how you are, Mark, to be honest with you. The one reason why I'm on the side of they do want him is that Dan Ashworth wants him. That's why.
Yeah.
The
I
only
hear that
reason why I just don't think he's going to make that big, because you're not going to splurge that sort of money on, as you've rightly pointed out, a lot of money on a young player if you don't think there's something there that either Eddie can work with, as Mark's alluded to. I just think he doesn't get that wrong. Like, you saw, look at Casado, another one of Ashworth's signings, 75 million. They're talking for Chelsea, great player. Another one they brought in. That wee lad, Matoma for Brighton, 2.5 million. Bloody hell, you go for
I think
30, 40 probably.
That's kind of the difference, though. Like, those signings were all made for peanuts.
Yeah, I know, but that's because you have to add the England tax in. You do. You just have to. The England tax of 15 million, probably 15 mil was in there, and I'd say that puts it down to about 15. I'm not saying that's a science, but it's definitely something. Michael Whitten with comment there. He is one of the fastest players in the league. I don't know if that's literally proven, but he is fast. Like, he's good in the ball. He's good balance. He's strong. He works very hard. I think one thing that did annoy me about him, because he was playing against us, was he had a good sense of balance when he played against us. When we were all over them, actually, I think.
Can we also just work out the fact that we're going to be getting 15 million for Chris Wood? So technically, take that off the transfer, you're only going to be paying 25 for Anthony Gordon.
Max, I'll come to you in that one slightly, because I want to ask, because if not him, they're going to go for someone in that price range. There are plenty of other players, obviously, but do you have a preferred player? Because I know that you're on the side of Mark, and that you don't want them. So maybe why do you not want them? And if not him, would you prefer someone else in that mold?
Yeah, I read the Athletics article on him today, because they usually do a really good background check on how the players are built up in stats and etc. So I've tried to be objective, because obviously I've been really negative towards this one, and maybe a bit unjust, but I still feel like he's just from what I could read about him, and I've watched some clips of him, and what I've seen from him in some games, it's just that he's a good defensive. He's quick. He's good defensively. He does the homework, but he's like a Miguel Almiron. He doesn't have any end product. But now at Miggy had, but before it did. So for me, it's like is he a replacement for him in the future, or what's the deal here? Because if we replace the Maximum with Anthony Gordon, I'm gonna cry. I'm literally gonna stop supporting Newcastle, because that would be the worst decision of my in their entire life. That would be so bad. And also, I just feel like if he had been Irish or something, he wouldn't been worth more than £5 million. I don't see the big thing about him. It's sorry, stupid.
Harsh. Needless attack on the Irish. You're probably right, to be fair, but still.
Yeah, but for me, when I look at the transfer market now, with players going to other clubs like Danjuma to Tottenham, Thuram is still on the market for a very low fee, and it was in the France World Cup squad who got second. So I mean, of course, as you said, Stuart, I trust Dan Ashworth and Eddie Howe to make the right decision. They know more about football than I do, so I can't really argue with them when they say they want the player and they're really going for it. There's obviously something in him that I don't see, but like Mark said, this is I've never felt this underwhelmed by a potential signing. So yeah, I'm hoping.
But did anyone think that 60-70 million was too much to pay for Isak?
No, because he's good and he's Swedish. So
Obviously.
So
what's your point?
Just a question for Mark. Mark, who would you rather have, Raheem Sterling or Anthony Gordon?
Raheem Sterling.
What age is Sterling now? 32? 33?
He's the ancient.
Sterling, no, Sterling's still in
he's
his
like
20s.
28, 27.
Yeah, he's just been around forever since he was a bairn, is the thing. The thing is, I mean, I get the argument, because, the transfer policy so far has been great. Eddie Howe has got a great track record of improving players. Dan Ashworth has got a great track record of finding good players. But they're not infallible. And fans don't know nothing. And I'm watching them with my own eyes, and I just don't see it. And like Max, I'm just praying that there's something blinding that I'm missing.
Yeah.
What the Everton fans think of him?
Well, he hasn't.
I mean,
he hasn't been getting games this season for Everton. I mean, what more do you need to know about him? For me,
Wait,
that's
Everton
kind of
fans
top of
hate
the list.
everyone.
Well, yeah, exactly. So filter that out. Has he been getting games for them? No, he hasn't. He hasn't been contributing enough on the pitch for Everton.
But I think there's probably more the fact that he's maybe not necessarily agreed with Lampard and that, and I think that's probably where that's went in
entirely
because he wasn't going because there was a contract that he was going to sign, but then he's decided that he wasn't going to sign that. So I sort of think there may be like politics in that, and it's like, well, if you're not going to sign the contract, out you go. So I think there was like internal politics in that one from that side of things. It's just one of those ones. Yeah. If you'd said 2 years ago, we're going to sign, would you think Joe Linton was worth 40 million? People would say no. Yeah, they were happy to get rid of him and spend 10 million. And that was, this is the judgment on that. People were probably happy to sell Miggy Almiron. Yeah, there's players that probably you'd look and go, Because I'm going to say this, there's a few people still questioning us signing Nick Pope for 10 million.
Not now, they're not.
No, I know, but there was it when we signed them because we're going, well, we don't need another keeper. We've got Dubravka.
That's a good one, actually. That's another really good shout of like Ashworth and co doing the research and looking at that and going, this is exactly what we need. Because, producer Mark's completely right. And I was kind of one of the people as well thinking, he's good, but like Dubravka's probably better. I was like, well, I was wrong. I'm completely wrong. He's phenomenal. Matt, sorry, I've come to you here. I haven't come to you yet. You are, well, what are you? Do you think that would be a good signing? Would you be against it? Are you indifferent? Why?
It's a difficult one, really. There's all sorts of elements with this. You look at the fact that he's not having a good time at Everton in the minute. You don't know what's going on behind, closed doors. Last season, I did see him play against us, and he did tear us apart in one of the first halves. And I thought, well, he looks a good player. I thought at the time I didn't know who he was, and I watched him. I thought he's a good little player. He is. And then obviously he had a bit more about him, and then he's just gone off the ball completely. And I don't get why. I don't think anybody does understand why. Nobody knows what's going on in his personal life. Who wants to be chased by your own fans in your car? He could have the wrong people around him telling him to make the wrong decisions.
But can we just clarify who wants to be chased by Evertonians? Yeah. We need to clarify that because not just any fans, because I'm sure Bruno would love to be chased by Newcastle fans, because we're just look. But Everton fans, you're sort of like, nah, not really. Here's a question there, do you not think he was the best player for Everton when they played at St James's Park when we beat them 1-0? Because I actually thought he was.
Yeah, so did I. I did.
I thought he was really good, And do you know what? Yeah, I know he had. Yeah, he had that like shithouse attitude, which is why Fabian Shaw nearly decked him. Which will make training sessions fun for a start. Yeah.
If we do sign him, that'll be a hell of a reunion.
Well, no, but that's the play. And this is my point. Every single person when I don't like Maddison, as a lesser player, everyone was like, I don't like Maddison. He's a cheat. He's a dive. He's a knobhead. Then when they say, oh, we're going to sign him. Oh, he's fantastic. He's amazing. Yeah. I don't care that he's a dickhead. He'll be our dickhead. Yeah. The opinions change. And I'm like, maybe we need that. Yeah.
But he's good.
He can be defensive. No, but he can be defensive as well as attack. But if he's got that little bit of like that shithousery in which we see him love at the minute, I think that's probably what you need. Yeah. I
just think with Maddison, it's gamesmanship. And so if he signs for your club, you don't mind it. Gordon, I just think he's a knob. I don't think he necessarily gets any advantage out of like the stuff that he gets up to on the pitch. He doesn't seem to get any extra decisions going for him. Maddison wins free kicks. He gets penalties. I've never seen Gordon do anything like.
Gordon wins free kicks as well. He just gets taken down. Just running with the ball. I think he's in the mold of ASM. I'm not saying anywhere near as good. Don't have a handle. I just mean that he runs with the ball a lot. He's a good dribbler. He's got good feet. He can pass. He's not a great finisher. Not to say he's bad. He just doesn't score that often. But that's not really his game. I think
he's probably scored more than ASM in the same period of time.
He scored 4 Premier League goals last season. 3 of which were deflected shots.
But I saw the highlight reel, highlight in inverted commas. I think it's all about those options, and it's given a different option. If you ask me who I signed, James Maddison or Anthony Gordon, obviously James Maddison. But no Newcastle fan, even the ones that like me that would like to sign Anthony Gordon, is going to say, Anthony Gordon over James Maddison. But the difference is maybe £40 million or £30 million. We don't know. We don't know.
But Anthony Gordon would be coming as a forward/winger. Maddison would be coming as a midfielder. So completely different positions in that sense.
Yeah.
But I just think with Gordon as well, he's coming in, he's playing with Bruno Guimaraes, with Joe Linton, with Isak and Wilson. He's coming in with much better players. Nick Pope instead of dinosaur hands. So you just look at that and you're going, I'd love to see all Newcastle fans give him a chance.
Oh, I think they will.
I'm happy to hold my hands up if it doesn't turn out and he ends up being. But I just think with what Eddie Howe's done, if he can transform, if he can transform Miggy and Joe Linton, I think he can transform anyone. To be fair, because Joe Linton was a lost cause when.
The thing is, I don't disagree with that. I'd just rather we were spending large fees on players that are already good that Eddie Howe can make even better, rather than buying players who are a bit of an unknown, if we're being kind, and then hoping that he turns them into good players.
I think it's been unfair on Gordon. I actually think he is a good player.
He is good.
That's our fundamental disagreement. That completely changes your perspective if you think.
I agree.
He must be a decent player because he's 21 and he's come through the ranks at Everton. He's been playing for Everton, so he must be at a reasonable standard. So
I don't know. Have you seen some of the players that have come through at Everton?
Yeah, but he's still performed. When he played us, he did rip us to shreds. In all fairness, he's only 21. He's only 21. People forget that. Come on.
I was going to say, did he not start to get games under Rafa?
I don't remember.
I don't know nothing about it. We'll curtail for tonight.
Because if so, Rafa must have thought he was good enough.
Yeah, it's good enough for Rafa. He's good enough for Ashworth and for Howe.
Look, Rafa thought Jocelyn was good.
But this is the thing: we haven't got it. I don't think we've got a transfer wrong so far.
No.
In all the players that we bought
the first one.
You'd argue Wood, but Wood was a necessary.
Chris Wood, to bring him in, realistically, we paid 10 million for him for 12 months for him to do the job which came in, which was to get us up.
10 million quid insurance
to keep
policy.
us up. Sorry, exactly. So 10 million to keep us up. Well, and the fact that we're going to get 15 million on Forest.
That's amazing.
I still can't believe that. Yeah, it's amazing.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's like right. Well, look, we'll keep it under an art tonight, folks. Thanks so much. Yeah, I don't think we'll come to an agreement there. Once he signs, he score a hat trick, and everyone will be happy. That's what will happen.
Hope he gets an injury.
Who
said that? Who said that?
Oh, Max, he'll definitely get an injury because as soon as he walks through the door, Fabian Scher's going to chin him.
Yeah,
he punches him.
Mark's going to be there with his car.
We will see what's happening and what happens. Just before we go to a very quick score prediction for Tuesday. Just give me the night score. Well, we can work out the aggregate afterwards. So give me a wee score for prediction, and then we'll sign off for the evening. Mark, I'll start with you. Score for on Tuesday night.
Jesus Christ. I'm gonna go 0-0.
Tense. Not good for
I was really hoping it'd be done with the first leg. I'm in Dubai next week, so I can't go to the game. And the local time at kickoff is going to be midnight. So it's like, Jesus Christ. It's going to be torture for me.
Matt, what about you?
I want to say 3-0.
3-0. Good man. Yeah.
3-0, yeah. Easy does.
Easy win.
I love it.
Max?
I love it.
I'd say 1-0 win to Newcastle.
Okay. And producer Mark. You going to abstain as usual?
I don't.
Oh,
I never make predictions, and I'm going to stay that way.
Okay, I'm going to say in between Max and I think 2-0. I don't think we'll score. I think we'll get an early goal, especially get another one. I don't think Eddie's going to try and pulverize them. It's going to be a 2-0 win. But hopefully all the best for Tuesday. Thanks for watching, folks, and thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining me and for a lively conversation this evening. And we will see you again after transfer deadline day and after Tuesday night's semi-final. Hopefully Newcastle will make it to their first final for a very, 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 very long time. Thanks for watching, everyone. Night night.